Bam. And we are just like that.
What's up, buddy?
We're rocking. What's up, Sean?
Nothing much.
Gotta thank you first real quick for coming on, man. It's
Yeah.
actually an incredible pleasure, an honor to have you on. We've been talking about it for some time, and there's a lot we have to go over, I'm sure.
One, this is surreal.
Yeah.
Just being on this is pretty nice.
I know. It's we were just talking about it. It's funny how there's this impression that sort of takes you out of a regular conversation, and that there's already people watching this.
Yeah.
Though right now we're in an empty room by ourselves.
Exactly.
With footage that isn't anywhere except on that camera. Because
Yeah.
we're not live. I mean, we are now that you're watching it, but like when this is recorded, it's just by ourselves. But even though that's the case, it doesn't feel like it at all.
Dude, it's good to be on. I'm really happy I'm here.
So just to introduce you a little bit further, for those of you who don't know, Sean's been a teacher for a while, and
it's
obviously
fourth year. Yeah, fourth year as a teacher. Yeah.
Science teacher.
8th grade science. Yep.
And through the pandemic, he's gone. So what's that been like, Sean? I mean, must be crazy.
It's there. Yeah. So.
And here, make sure this is about a fist away. I should have gone over that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you can move this around anytime you want.
Okay.
That helps.
Yeah. So just first and foremost, I'm a science teacher. You know that. So having hands-on and like PBL, we call them a project-based learning. That's important. You know, taking something that's conceptual, something that may be foreign or difficult to grasp, and making it tangible where the kids can hold it and understand it. You can't do that in virtual learning. And when I'm coming up with projects to do, you have to think, how am I going to translate this so they can do it at home? And then you run into the problem. Not everyone's going to have the materials. Yeah. I can't go to everyone's house and hand them a kit. So that's the difficult part.
I know. That's one thing I've always really loved about science class. And it's so funny you became a science teacher because it's so you.
I love it.
Like I was just like my buddy who was supposed to be no Jamie Dew, by the way, folks. Poof. Guy's got bigger fish to fry, I guess, right? No, but I was telling him about you, and I was like, yeah, he's the science teacher who's got a bearded dragon on him. You know what I mean? Like
I teach with
Miss Frazzle. You know what I mean?
Frizzle.
Frizzle. Yeah. Oh my God, I got beheaded for botching that. But no, honestly, I mean, and that's what's so fun about it, because science is one of those categories, subjects. Yeah, it's been that long since I've been in school. Subjects that can be that fun. There's that much wiggle room and space for creativity, and I'm sure, I mean, you could vouch for what's it like to uphold that curriculum? Is there a lot of freedom on your part to?
Yeah, so I follow the next generation or next gen standards. So I get a standard, and we call it unpacking the standard. So what is that standard asking? And when students do that, there's also students need to know the concept. And I know when I grew up, it was just take the notes. Here are the slides. Test is on Friday.
Yeah.
But now, so boring. We're trying to get away from that, where we want to teach the kids how to think too and how to apply it. So here are the notes. Now let's apply it to a project. So this year, I'm really excited. We teach Newton's laws. Newton's three laws. The big project is students have to build a race car. Made from a balloon. And household items.
Refresh real quick. I don't care. I'll shamelessly ask. What are the 3 laws?
So first law is Newton's. The first law is the law of inertia. So an object at rest remains at rest. An object in motion remains in motion until an unbalanced force acts upon it.
Yeah.
Second law is F equals ma. So the more mass something has, the more force it's going to take to move it. And it's proportionally related. Hold on.
Physics are so cool.
Acceleration is proportionally related to mass. So the more mass something has, the less it's going to accelerate. Okay. So that's when race cars are lighter. Right. And then Newton's third law is for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Yep. So, but I mean, just using those as example, I say that to a 13-year-old. For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. Well, that's a good sentence, but how can you apply it? Right. So it's good, having class, I stand on a skateboard and I tell them, guys.
Right. It's one of those things that sounds like it makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But until you really see it, it's like.
I say, okay, guys, I'm going to push on this wall. Well, every action has an opposite and equal reaction. The wall's going to push back. Everyone's going to be like, no, it doesn't. Yeah. Well, you stand on a skateboard next to a wall and you push, skateboard starts rolling. So that's like the I can't really do that effectively.
Right.
Or I have to be very creative to do that virtually.
That's a cool example. And that's something I've always appreciated about science, is because it takes exactly what you're saying, a concept that everybody knows about, but never gets to, or I shouldn't say never, but infrequently gets to experience what it looks like in action, right? A great one was those pendulum
Newton's
marbles.
cradle.
That was called Newton's cradle. So you guys might recognize it as those metal beads hanging from like a string, and they go pink, and then the other one goes and it lasts for a while.
Oh yeah,
those are, it's amazing.
And that's Newton's third law. For every action, there's an opposite and equal. So you hold 2 up, you let go, 2 bounce on the other side. You hold 4 crazy? Up, and then 4 going. Yeah, so
like it's a perfect example of that law too.
And talking about Newton's first law, the law of inertia. I make like a Newton hat. Yeah. You ever see this online? You take a
Oh, is it the one with the 2 wires that hang down?
2
and
wires.
You
put the ball. Yeah, you put like the foam balls at the end, and I spin it, and it spins, and then I stop it. I'm like, okay, I stopped it, and then you hold it still, and then I can spin, and it stays still. Mm-hmm. So again, those are the in-person demonstrations that it makes it a little difficult.
I'm not sure if it applies, but I think the same thing can be tested if you take a bucket of water and try to spin the bucket. You notice the water doesn't move. Oh, yep. You ever do that with put a leaf on top and then try to spin the bucket? The leaf doesn't turn because the water's like right there. Yeah. So that was that because of gravity, or not gravity, but
well, yeah. So I mean, one, you don't have friction.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just a lack of friction,
and no, it's the same thing. So unbalanced force is not acting upon the water.
So how does the current state of events sort of pose a challenge to get these same projects or demonstrations across to your students?
Right now. So I just started 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So we're not at that point yet. We the first week is always going over the rules, going over the expectations, the norms, and then we're getting into content. So I'm thinking about, because I'm doing that project this year where they have to build a race car. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, maybe extending the time a little bit. So when we were in school, it took us a week. Now it might be 2 weeks, to gather the materials and do it at home. I want them to race, so I don't know. It's very difficult. We definitely have to be creative, and delivering the content online has definitely forced every teacher to be creative. But I mean, we're doing it. Yeah, we're doing it. I know this week I made it's called Bitmoji Classroom.
Yeah. I think you showed me yours a little bit of what you got going on.
So I make my Bitmoji. Cool. It took me a while to get it to look like me.
Exactly.
But, you make a virtual classroom, and then you can link all of your activities within the classroom. The students have a common place they can go and see their links for the week. So that right there itself has been, I guess, time consuming.
But talk about a great resource, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
In the event that there's a snow day or something like that, I mean,
that's another thing.
I can't even imagine.
COVID has changed, everything. Yeah. And like what we keep after COVID is done. Mm-hmm. I don't think we'll have snow days.
That's what I was thinking. I keep talking to people about that, and ever since we had a brief conversation about this, I keep saying, well, in the event that there's a snow day from here on out, I mean, what's the odds of it actually canceling school? Because with all the tools and conditioning to operate under these circumstances is really being tested right now. And
so I think when school's canceled, if there's a lot of snow, and kids will be required to log online and log on and complete the work for the day. I don't know. I think snow days are a thing of the past.
Yeah. Well, the bad news is that you'd have to get right to school. The good news is that you get out earlier in the year, especially for New England, because we have at least 6 a year, right? What is it? In your time?
I don't even know. I know. I think last year was 2 or 3.
Yeah. It's. I mean, that's not too bad, I guess. But last year was a great. This year rather.
Yes. Yeah.
This winter was a great winter. We almost had no snow. Mm-hmm. I feel like November had more snow than the whole of winter last year. But yeah, man, what got you into becoming a science teacher? So, just to add some context, me and Sean met way back when I worked for the first gym I ever got a job at.
Yeah,
and
dude.
We had a great
I mean,
team. It was a fun time, man.
Yeah,
I miss that.
It was good. But, personal training, you have to take something that's complex and you have to break it down.
Yeah.
I thought I was good at that. Mm-hmm. I something that like something as complex as a deadlift.
It's so related. You're right.
You have to break it down.
Anatomy. I mean, physiology.
But, I have a family, and the hours were.
Mm-hmm.
The grind. If you want to make money, and especially where we were working, where you had to get the clientele to make a living.
I always say that if you want to be a personal trainer or get into fitness, be ready for a slight pay cut for quite some time. Mm-hmm. It's a sacrifice.
Yeah, build up that clientele. You wake up at 5. You might have a 4-hour break because of cancels or just how your schedule is. Then you're back to work from 5 to 9 at night. Mm. So I wanted something a little bit more consistent. And yeah, man, teaching would be nice. I was already doing, I was out of school and, I was, subbing. So figured let's get in the classroom.
Teaching has such a golden schedule. I like the schedule. I mean,
what
time you go into work? What time you get out?
Normally, so I would, if we were in school, it would 7:15, and I'm out by 2:30. But or the kids are out at 2:30. I'll say an extra hour or two.
Yeah. But that's perfect.
It's not bad.
That is a great schedule. Yeah. I mean, it's better than 9 to 5 if you ask me, because especially come like winter.
Yeah.
If you're going in at 9, getting out at 5, I mean, you just barely see the light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 9, you might be in the light for like an hour or so. I don't know, maybe. And then you get out and it's dark because it's dark at like 3 or 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
But no, that's awesome.
Oh, it's good, man. I like it. And, with the being at home now, the difficult part now is just sitting all day.
Yeah.
That's the, I think that right now is the thing I'm struggling with the most. Sitting down more so than I'm used to.
Were you up and about a lot when you were working before this? Like rather standing up? And
I'm not a sit behind my desk kind of teacher. Yeah. I'm up and I'm trying to, contact as many students as possible. Mm-hmm. I'm doing my rounds, making sure everyone is good. If I'm doing a presentation, like a demonstration, like a lab or something, I'm up. I'm energized. I'm trying to make sure that everyone is engaged. But from home, you have to take all that and put it behind a screen. So
that's tough, man.
It's good. It's difficult, but being creative. I think the kids are responding very well to online.
I like
from what I can get so far.
And it's a new challenge. Yeah. As a teacher, I'm sure for you. Right? Because, I mean, think about what you could gain from this as a teacher. Yeah. If you can teach through a screen, you could teach anybody anything, I feel like. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I feel like that is a very powerful tool to have. Mm-hmm. And I can relate that slightly to verbally explaining how to do something physically. Mm-hmm. When you're demonstrating something to somebody, and this is something I've really picked up on a lot, mostly because of the environment that I work in now, with all the awesome coaches that I work with. Shout out to Matt and Anoop and Preston and Natalie. And we all are really good at this because it's so important not to just show somebody how to do something, but to be able to verbalize it.
Yeah.
And when you're able to do that, similar to trying to explain something over the internet, probably, through the medium of a screen, you have to be articulate enough, and whatever articulate may mean. For you have you're dealing with 8th graders, right?
8th grade, 12 to 13. 14,
so they're probably in a good boat where you can really use a greater array of your regular vocabulary, and more of those linguistic skills to convey something or how to do something. Yeah. So in the same way, I think to myself, because that was really just something I had to pick up on quickly. And I'm sure that's been helping you, I would assume, fine-tune a lot of those skills, communication skills.
Communication skills is important. When we're teaching the students, I want to see that they're using the proper scientific discourse when talking to each other, while talking to me. Again, if we're using something as Newton's laws and, and someone's saying, well, something's got to go faster if it's lighter.
Yeah.
I know what they mean, but that's not entirely right. Something that is has less mass is going to accelerate faster. So, just making sure that I can communicate that to students so they can, I can see that they understand that they're using the proper scientific discourse.
That's so
it's
cool.
Important.
I'm reminiscing now about a really awesome. So when I first moved here, my homeroom was a science class in 6th grade. And it was in 6th grade where our teacher had us she created an environment out of this huge board out of clay and stuff, right? And all the environment had its own attributes like a temperature and all these things. And it was like a final, I think, or one of the finals towards the end of the year. So she gave us all a ball of clay as well.
Yeah.
And a pen and paper. So we had to make our own creature. The aesthetic part was more for fun.
Yeah.
What was more important was the biological attributes that creature had to survive in that biome.
Okay, yeah.
So it was actually a really cool, it was a really fun experience, especially for me, because I've always loved making things out of clay.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
I love that.
So it's like it had to be accustomed to a certain, was it a water? Was it a land animal? Because the biome itself had very, like trees, a tree area, a mountain area, a plains area, a water area. So I thought that was really cool.
That's awesome, man. I know last year, 2 years ago now. Yeah, 2 years ago now. We learned conduction, convection, radiation. So my big project, just to see what the kids can remember and comprehend, was to build a solar oven.
Oh, dude, I did that, and I had a tech class. It was called tech in 8th grade.
Okay,
it was actually the same grade as you teach, and we in tech class did. We fashioned those cars where you put the CO2 tank in the back and, to race them, and a solar oven. Made s'mores.
That's what we made. We made s'mores. Yeah. We put it on the windowsill. We tilt the thing up. Yeah. I love it.
It's so cool.
It's projects like that, and I'm happy that you said you remember 6th grade.
Yeah.
It's projects like that where I want kids to come back the next year and be like, Mr. Vanzant, I remember when I did this.
Dude, I bet you're so good at that, man. You seem like you have the personality, and from what you've told me.
I love it myself. Yeah. I'm enthusiastic about it. I try to be like this when delivering, if I'm front loading a lesson, say it's a Monday and we're introducing it, it's going to be pretty boring. You have to take the notes. You have to know the foundation before we can even, attempt a project. So I try to take that same energy and put it into this. And, if it's like 7 a.m., Mr. Vanzant, why are you like yelling? Like we're just doing vocab words.
Yeah.
Like, oh, come on, you got this.
Yeah, right.
Write it down. You
Let's
can do
go.
This. Yeah.
Everyone's like, and back to like the projects and stuff. Everybody's like, oh yeah, he's doing it for the kids. It's like, no, he's doing it. He's having fun over there.
I get to make s'mores at work.
It's like before you know it, there's like lemurs in the classroom and more lizards.
More lizards just around.
Praying mantises. Yeah, shout out to that praying mantis we found outside.
Just hanging out.
It was a freaking huge praying mantis. I actually even got a chance to see it fly. It flew off of the railing. And you don't typically see a praying mantis flying.
Yeah.
Fun fact about insects, they all have wings. Right?
I
think ants don't maybe, but like very few insects don't have wings. And like the female does.
Yeah.
I think the queen has wings, right?
Yeah.
So now you're in school again or going back to school soon?
Yeah, so I'm my last year at AIC.
No way.
Yeah,
and where do you go from there?
In the classroom. Yeah, so I have to get, so it's weird, as a teacher, you're going to have different tracks. So I didn't go to school for teaching.
Okay.
So, obviously I went to school for personal training, for health and fitness. And I transitioned into, being a teacher. And now I want to get, my degree in education. So from there, I'll work towards my professional license and take it from there. I want to stay in the classroom, maybe down the road, think of administration, but for now, I love the classroom.
Dude, that's gotta be so fun. I like teaching.
It's good.
I can imagine that'd be really fun, especially once you get your bearings.
Yeah, it's the aha moments that I look towards.
Yeah,
especially that student who he sits back and doesn't want to do anything.
He doesn't give a shit, and then all of a sudden you say something, and he's like,
2 weeks later, they do something, just a simple like nudge on the shoulder, like, hey man, hey, good job for this, and then a simple like, like a little nod of agreement. You start
to get to them.
I love that.
I can only imagine. We had some kids prior to all this. We don't run any classes anymore, but working with kids can be so tough, especially around that age group.
Yeah.
Because there's a real serious push to become your own individual around that time.
That's the thing. So 8th grade, you have kids who are ready to move on to high school and be adults, and then you still have kids who want to stay in middle school and play video games and hang out with their friends. It's a weird age.
Yeah,
it's a weird age.
Well, you're probably doing the most amount of experimenting. I mean, if you ask me, the most transitional years of my life, by standards of my own character, desires, goals, those things like developed and culminated and shifted and changed and were shaped from like 8th grade to graduation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big year for a lot of people. That's when people will be doing the most experimenting socially, physically.
Dude,
and
I had a head of hair in 8th grade and cut it all off.
Yeah.
In 8th grade.
Is that the last time you had a full head of hair? No, you had hair. I remember seeing pictures.
I had like a little.
You grow your afro out.
Grow it out to 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, no, 8th grade, I had an afro.
Where did I see a picture of you? I think it might have been something. It was definitely at Best somewhere at the gym we used to work at.
With hair?
Yeah, I saw a picture of you somewhere. I'm not sure where.
Yeah,
maybe it was the bio.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, get a 1 or a 2 up top. It's easier now to shave it all off.
I know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of wish I could pull that look off because there's times where I don't want to be bothered by going to get a haircut. Yeah. You know? Even here, like I'll just wear a hat for this.
Yeah.
I don't want to like do my hair and
That's
then
the
put
thing,
a
man. You get bald head and you get more surface area in the summer.
Yeah.
Higher chance of getting burned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get better. It helps you absorb the sun a little bit better too. It's like a beacon.
Yeah.
Dude, so that's awesome, man. So what are some things you kind of learned about yourself in this whole process? What if you were to tell or not explain, but coach somebody on being a teacher? Are there any huge mistakes you've made in the first 4 years, or
yeah, man,
things you've really learned?
I think first and foremost, being buddy with everyone.
That's like that's the knee-jerk reaction you want to do right away.
You want to make the kids happy. You know, they start complaining. You don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, you don't want to be the jerk.
That's a pitfall you want to start off fair, firm. I mean, you don't want to take any BS.
Yeah, and then they run with it.
Exactly. And then, as the year goes on, you loosen up. And then, but to be honest with you, man, within the first 2 weeks, the students are, I mean, especially, I work in Springfield in the inner city, and the students are savvy. They can read you instantly. So, as long as you're fair, you're firm, you're confident, and you stick to your rules and expectations, you're going to develop those relationships and earn that respect from the students. And then as the year goes on, you loosen up a little bit and revisit the rules and expectations. But I think my first year, I had rules and expectations and I would follow them. But I think starting off fair and firm and then lightening up as the year goes on is a common mistake or not doing that is a common mistake that most teachers can fall into that. It's sad, but
dude, yeah. I'll say I can relate because like I was saying before, we had, prior to the pandemic and everything, we had a high school, middle school strength and conditioning. And that's the first thing I tried to do, is become friends with everybody. Yeah. Right? And as time goes on, you realize you're just molding yourself to be a pushover, and that's
you know what?
Counterproductive.
And the friendship or that relationship building, it's going to come. It's going to come, and that's something to do. Just be patient, be firm. Another one is there's a book, Teach Like a Champion, that my school follows, and actually in school I wrote a couple papers on it. But be fair, teach with kindness, and fineness is a practice in there and a technique you can use. So, talking in positive language. So if a student's like, "Mister, I don't want to do that," instead of saying, "Well, you need to do that," you put it back on them and be like, "Listen, it would be important for you to do this because, if you do this, you're going to, do this work now. It's going to be easier for you tomorrow." And then this, and just explaining it out instead of, "Nope, you have to do it. I said so."
Yeah.
You're not going to get a lot of
that whole "I said so" mentality.
Exactly.
You have to find your way into not just being a boss, but a leader, you know what I mean, type of deal, which is a little bit more of a collective push. It's understanding that it's encouraging people to do something, not telling them to do it. Yeah, and I'm sure that's a lot of what you.
Yeah, well, I know, especially at home, there's a lot more. I mean, I talk to parents every week. Yeah. More so now. More so now than while we were in school. Right. Just to make sure students are on the same page, parents are on the same page. I had an incident this week where a student was not happy. I called home. and they were failing already. We have 5 assignments up. But I mean, it's at-home learning. It's the first week. I want to make sure students are comfortable with, navigating through the online classroom. So I said, listen, you have all the information. You can do the work, turn it in. Even if it's late, I'm going to give you 100%. That's fine. Nice. I want you to be comfortable. They got a little mouthy, which is understandable. They were mad. They got in trouble by their parents. But I made sure when the student did the work, I made sure I could, praise them in public. So in class, like, hey, listen, as an example, this person did their work. They submitted it. I changed their grade. And then I called home and said, listen, so-and-so increased their grade. They're no longer failing. They have an A now in my class. So it's things like that, like as a teacher, you need to do. It's just going to build those relationships.
Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah.
It's really probably one of the most socially difficult things to do. Because even then, you build this relationship, and all the kids end up moving on anyways. And then you have to do it all over again.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
That is I'm sure it is the fun part.
The
meeting
different
new
class
people.
Dynamics and all that stuff, yeah.
And then you get, the I'm sure it'll come to you. I mean, you're still early because the first people you started teaching, if it was 8th grade, they might have just graduated high school.
Yeah, so it's my 4th year. Yeah. So, they're going into their senior year.
Going into your senior year. But I'm sure there's a great sense of fulfillment in the act of somebody coming up or back to you and being like, hey, thanks for that,
Yeah, it's funny.
That's good, something good to strive for, I'm sure.
Yeah, when I was in 7th grade, I had a wrestling coach who was a science teacher.
Yeah.
And we still keep in contact today. Yeah. And actually, my engagement party I just had, because I'm getting married in April.
Yes. Congratulations,
thanks,
dude.
Man.
Yeah.
No,
and thank you for having me at your engagement party. That was fun, man. Dude.
Yeah.
That was a really good time.
Well, but no, he was there, and I remember his classroom to this day. I'm 28 years old. And I still remember it. So hopefully when the kids get older.
I remember a lot of my high school experiences. High school, I mean, say what you will about it, but I think there's a lot of constructive, it was a very constructive environment for somebody to grow up in. If it's easy to get carried away or be opposed to, we'll say, the environment itself. Like, a lot of people didn't like the rules or something like that, or they felt oppressed there. I know a lot of people who had an experience like that. They felt very oppressed as kids, and it's within human nature sometimes to be a little power hungry. So I guess some teachers could be like that, but it's more likely that kids were acting out of line than teachers. But it's just a very delicate environment where it's very easy, I'm sure, for some people to get a little bit more worked up than they should, especially when you're dealing with irrational people. Because kids at that age aren't very rational.
They're still finding themselves.
They're learning.
Man. Yeah, they have to learn how to deal with.
They're learning so much, and then going through arguably one of the largest changes in their body. Especially around that age as well. That's when puberty sits in and pro hormones start to develop a lot more, and you start changing.
Now throw on top of that, COVID.
Yeah, and now it's like they can't even get out of the house to let out their wiggles.
I get it.
I would go crazy. I am so happy that I was not in school for this, man.
I get it, man. And so that's another challenge that us teachers we had to overcome was, okay, all this is happening to the student. How can we keep them engaged in our class if they're just sitting in front of a computer? So that's been another challenge. Luckily I use a program called Nearpod. I love this program.
Yeah.
So
what's it do?
Yeah. So when say I have a presentation, right, and you have your computer up, I have my computer up. When I hit next on my screen, on your screen, the slide changes.
No way.
And the good thing is there's countless number of activities you can do to gauge understanding, so kids can as simple as open responses, multiple choice, they can draw, they can match, you can link, and embed websites, you can do simulations. They have a VR feature. If you have a VR, you can put VR on.
No way.
Look around. They have Google Earth. There's tons of things you can do to make things interactive with the kids. So that's been a big saving grace when it comes to at-home learning.
That had me thinking there, how funny is that VR is probably now more needed than ever, and it's not ready yet. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody has VR. I've never even used it. I mean, I think I tried it once or twice.
Yeah, I had one for a little bit.
It was cool.
Yeah.
I guess I just didn't play around with it enough. I just walked. I was walking in Northampton and came across it was like a display for one. Like people were walking in and trying it out, and it was pretty cool. But dude, it's not mainstream yet. I don't think.
I just had one. You put your phone right in the face, and
was it the Oculus or which one does that? The Oculus. Is the Oculus okay?
You put your headphones on, and there's one where you lay in bed. So you lay in bed, and there's like a little demon boy that's like running around the room, looking for this demon kid, and then like you hear the whispers in your ear. You turn, the kid's yelling in your face. It's pretty scary.
I'm so interested to see where they'll go with VR.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's so much room for opportunity. So much room for, honestly, revolutionizing the way we live our lives, which is the craziest part.
I forgot where I heard this from. I don't know if it was a podcast or if it was a book.
Yeah.
But it referenced the future of social media and saying how now you can message your favorite celebrity, you can see your favorite celebrity, you can hear them in real time live.
Right.
50 years from now, maybe even 20 years from now, you might be able to smell if they're like walking on a beach, you might be able to smell the beach that they're on.
I've never been a fan of the smell thing, but I could imagine the walk along.
But like just adding those senses, to the whole social media experience kind of ties into the VR. Yeah. Like where is this going to go?
20, 50 years, I would assume. I would guess that by then they'll give you something you can put on, and you would be a celebrity in a fabricated artificial reality. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because there's a level of computing power that could technically simulate what we're experiencing right now. If you look at how far the computer's developed. And that's something I was just watching on Netflix. Have you seen Social Dilemma?
No, that just came out last week.
It's so good.
My fiance, I told her about it. I want to watch it.
Watch it. Yeah. It's so good.
Okay.
It's a little, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
I like it. I thought it was just as fascinating as it was scary in a way. But
that's the best kind of documentary right there.
Exactly. But they were going through the statistics on how much computing power has advanced since the start of the computer, and it's literally advanced from where it was when it started. It's 1 trillion times faster than it is now.
What's that called? Is that Moore's law? Is it?
I'm not sure. Here, talking about this side of the thing, just in case. There,
I forgot the law where it's like it exponentially. Yeah, it doubles every.
I'm not sure of the law either. Where's my guy? Come on. So if you think about it, it is a fact that every year technology doubles.
Yeah.
So I always say I've said it before. In 30 years, if that's the case, if technology was at a level 1 now, it would be at a level over 5 million in 30 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's how much
exponential growth.
I saw this TikTok, and I always reference TikTok because there's some good shit on there. But it was like, okay, would you rather $1 million or a penny that doubles every day for 30 days?
Oh yeah.
So the penny that doubles for every day for 30 days turns out to be over $5 million. Yeah, penny.
What is it? It's like 26,000 by like day 14 or something ridiculous like that.
And then it just doubles and doubles, and that doubling factor really kicks in. So I'm thinking now about technology, virtual realities, video games. They will be indistinguishable from real life, and that feeds into the whole simulation theory. Because what's to say there isn't a species that existed prior to our own knowledge, or we die, wake up, and it's like, whoa, you take your thing off. You're like, that was nuts, and it was an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Go back in. That was fun. That was a good game.
Dude, it's crazy to think about stuff like that.
Absolutely. Mind-boggling. And I guess it's just one more of many theories. It's not entirely possible to prove it wrong, I suppose, but it's certainly food for thought.
Yeah.
And I just think, well, what could happen with, virtual reality?
Yeah. No, it's especially just so to tie it back to virtual reality, I was thinking, and how can I use this as a teacher? Because I feel like teaching in class as a science teacher, it's like riding a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You see, you hear, you can feel, with your hands, you're there. Where at home, it's like watching it through a computer screen. But my challenge is, how can I make this like a VR where you can have more senses and you can have more interaction with the students? And that's I guess the challenge is not everybody has the VR equipment. That's the difficult part. Not everyone is on the same level when it comes to technological skills. I have some students that, they might have 6 siblings in a house. Internet's a little slow, or they might be sharing a computer. So that's the difficult part.
Dude, honestly, the beauty about something like that too is what I'm thinking is how accessible knowledge and education will be when that's a tool that's refined.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like anybody can learn anywhere. You could essentially conduct massive educational experiences for people all around the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like think about all these really awesome initiatives people take or projects people go under or on all kinds of different countries in the world. Mostly third world countries, where they'll go and they'll build a school and make educational means a little bit more abundant for that area, because that's what's really lacking in a lot of different countries. I mean, education is the foundation of everybody's future right now, and no matter what country you're in. Now you take something like that, streamline it, and make it remote. Right? That'd be awesome.
Dude, it's my kids make fun of me because they're like, "Dad, what does this mean?" I'm like, I don't know. And automatically they're like, "Okay, Google." Because they know you have the internet in your pocket. You have everything you need.
That's such a good point. That kind of makes teaching a little bit more interesting, because now what do you teach? You know what I mean? Because so and I'm just thinking from a utility standpoint, you have the academic process where you're teaching people what to know, right? And then they apply that on paper via test, some standardized test or something like that. In high school, so in my science class, I actually, in high school in my science class, I read an article about how they teach kids in Sweden.
Yep.
And Sweden's always a staple to reference, because everything's done a little bit different in some of these smaller countries where it's easier to I guess, be a little bit more creative, I guess. I'm not sure what the constraints are from a government standpoint, from a society standpoint. But they teach their kids not what to learn, but how to learn. And the approach is much different. So, for instance, like you were saying, using Google, you could teach somebody about all the different elements on the chart. Or teach them maybe how to find them. I don't know. Be able to use their resources appropriately.
So that's how I try to teach. I want them to apply what they learn, and those application skills is what I'm concerned about. So again, when I teach a new unit, you have to learn the foundation. So we have to take notes. We have to, I'll try to make it as interactive as possible. I'll take breaks. I'll check for understanding. And, I might do like a quick activity, just to check for understanding. That's fine. But we move on to a lab. I need to see how they can apply that information. Teaching critical thinking to students, in my opinion, is very important, because once you can critically think, you can then take virtually any kind of information and know when to apply it and how to apply it, depending on what situation you're in. So I agree.
Yeah. Being resourceful is so important. Our valedictorian, shout out to Ryan McQuaid, was a very resourceful guy. So much so that some people, and not to cast any shade, he's an awesome kid and an extremely intelligent guy, but he might have been considered somebody who would be a cheater in a sense. But it wasn't because he was actually cheating. He was just, he was very well versed in what his resources were and how to use them to his advantage, as most people are. I mean, I've done the same thing in many instances, and we are in a world where all the resources are at your disposal if you have at least are fortunate enough to have a phone and the internet.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like how to use it, when to use it, how to use it properly. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the big problem that everybody's going through right now, is that we have this technology that since the first versions of this technology came out, since then it's a trillion times more advanced than that. So take that into account, right? And it's only been, I don't know, how long's the computer been around? Let's Google that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna Google that for us.
I'm gonna say 33 years.
33 years.
I'll say 35 years. I have no idea. I'll say 35 years.
Computer invented. I think it's okay. It says Chip technologies, microchip revolution. Okay, this gave me a bunch of stuff.
We talking like AOL?
No, just like a computer. Yeah, I know, the dial-up, like things. That's just it too, because if you think about it, when was the first time? Like when I'm asking it right now, it
like
was
an actual computer. I mean,
an actual computer,
probably
like the BMI,
1930s, 1940s,
IBM,
maybe.
sorry. Yeah,
For like the first computer.
First computer.
Yeah, I don't know. But I like that you're using your resource right now to figure that out.
Yeah. I'm trying to really just get a gauge on that, because we'll say it was in the 1950s, and it probably wasn't. It most likely.
It was the size of a house.
Yeah,
when
it was
when
very
first
large.
Came out.
It was absolutely enormous.
Yeah.
And it really didn't become something that was consumer friendly, I think, until the late 70s.
Okay. Well, let's just put it into perspective now. I can go on Amazon, and for what, $30 to $50, I can get an SD chip, a terabyte.
Yeah.
For $30 to $50.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that 10 years ago.
No. Oh my God, a terabyte. That's insane, right? It's so what I'm getting at is that you have technology on its own being this thing that's developed over 1 trillion times since it started. And then you think, well, how much has the human mind developed in that time? Yeah. And that's the problem I think we're facing right now with a lot of the controversy that's going on, is because people aren't, like we were just talking about, using, or I shouldn't say we were just talking about, but referencing how important it is to know how to use these tools properly.
Yeah, exactly.
And how easily and abundantly they become used improperly.
You see the increase in depression. You see the increase of withdrawal.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Well, you have this device that is very attractive, and it stimulates dopamine production upon use.
Yep.
You're scrolling, and you're checking, and you're interacting.
It's that reward system.
Yeah.
So you're swiping.
New information.
Exactly. You're just swiping, and looking for that reward.
Yeah.
Almost like a slot machine. Mm-hmm. You keep pulling the lever, hoping for something. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's funny because we don't consider ourselves to still have primitive habits, though we'd be surprised when you're looking at a phone.
And the sad part is, I tell this to my fiance like every time. I repeat things a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's always like, I know I heard this before. Yeah. But no, whenever we go out to not now but before COVID, go out to like a playground or like an indoor playscape or something, like at the mall or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there, and my kids are, they're coming down the slide, and I'm watching them. They're going back up. And then I look over and see 8 parents on a bench, and all 8 of them, they're just down on their phone.
Ooh, yeah.
Dude, that's another thing. And they, last night we had a takeout last night, and I'm waiting in line, and everyone was on their phone.
You're going to love Social Dilemma. It's crazy.
I can't wait.
It's crazy.
But it's what is technology doing, and what do we need to do as a human species to use it properly? Because I don't think that's using it properly. Being glued and the addictiveness of it is ridiculous. I mean, even just something simple, turning off your blue light feature in your phone is important.
Yep. And a lot of them thankfully do that. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. It does change not only how we feel throughout the day, but how we sleep at night.
Yep.
How we feel about ourselves. That's a big thing. It paints our own self-image.
That's why when you said TikTok, I can't stand it, because I see my 8th graders.
They use it a lot.
Exactly. They put it down like by a tree outside, and they're doing their dance and stuff. It's like,
well, here's the thing. I applaud that type of behavior, because what I always say is that, well, with a phone and technology, mm-hmm. you have this never-ending slew of entertained people who are being entertained only. Mm-hmm. I always am an advocate of creating, being the entertainer. Yeah. It gives you something else to work for that the phone, just by looking at it, doesn't give you. Using the phone to your own resource, to your own benefit, in creating something, even if it's dumb, right? Yeah. It creates a different reward system, like we're talking about. So that way now, scrolling through the phone seems to lose its lust. Yeah. It's like, this isn't nearly as exciting when I make something and put it out there and watch people enjoy it.
I get what you're saying. I think the pitfall you can fall into is, are you looking for validation
Yeah. Well, that's
for creating,
exactly.
and posting those TikToks or that Instagram picture, or, you give a homeless man $1 and you take a selfie as you're doing it.
Like,
hey, look what I'm doing.
I'm selfless.
Exactly. Are you doing it, for validation? And then, how invested are you to constantly receive that day in and day out? Are you looking at the likes when you post a picture, and if it doesn't hit 100 or 500, are you disappointed?
Yeah,
that's a weird thing to think about,
and it is a terrible positive feedback loop to get into.
Yeah,
because then it stifles your creativity, because then you go, oh, but then this post got this many likes, so now my posts are going to be more like my last one.
Yeah.
And especially this applies mostly for females. Fun fact, the internet is used by mostly females. So then you have that female population who might end up valuing their self by their image, and it's always going to come off as more of a sexual thing because it's constantly applauded, if you will, when they're more like loose about themselves or doing something, you know what I mean? So like back to the likes, they do something that might be a little bit provocative, and all of a sudden they're like, wow, look how amazing I am. They might get that.
It's dangerous, and especially you have the internet, you have it. So on a phone, you have the whole world at your hands. Yep. And when you are, I don't know, when you first get a phone out, 10, 11, 12, you don't know, how to use it. So you see someone who's 25 years old and they're half naked, and you think, okay, this person has 1 million likes.
They could be even younger than that, especially with TikTok, which is
sad.
Super annoying.
It's very sad, And I mean, as a teacher, that's why I try to teach critical thinking, as much as I can, and how to use information, when to use information, because hopefully people can apply it to their everyday life. Because something like that, it's scary. It's scary having these quote unquote role models or influencers online, and there's
social influencers. Yeah. That's their job because they've been like dancing around on a beach in a bikini for years.
There's no guidance, for online etiquette and stuff like that. And when you're 12 or 13, you're very impressionable.
And
it's sad.
And on that note too, it's something that I really appreciate about what Gary Vee. You familiar with Gary Vee?
No
way, Gary Vaynerchuk. Okay, so he's like a really proactive entrepreneur, and he's like on every platform, constantly advocating people to grind and crush it. He even wrote a book. It was a great book, and it was specifically about capitalizing on social media.
Okay.
But the issue is, you have these people who put a lot of emphasis onto one medium. So all of a sudden, what happened? You remember Vine?
Oh yeah.
So you had all these celebrities on Vine. Where'd they go? Vine disappeared. Their existence depended on Vine. When it disappeared, that's all they had. They had left no mark on this planet, in other words. That was it. And that's how social media can really get you if your content is not only good enough to be shared on all the other platforms, but if it holds itself throughout time. And that's like one thing I kind of do appreciate about TikTok versus the other ones, is because a lot of people do share really good information.
Yeah.
The reason that it sucks at first glance is when you get a lot of those people just doing stupid dances, and it's terribly annoying. But once you get into it, you get really, really accurate stock advice, and scientific stuff, theories, all these cool things. It's what YouTube used to be. I like to say a shorter span, up to a minute, but it reminds me of the old YouTube.
I miss the old YouTube.
The old YouTube was like the rabbit hole of rabbit holes, and you could just go surfing.
I remember middle school watching like the stick figure fights. And
oh my god! I love that. That was like my favorite thing to watch at the time.
Just people dubbing over like cartoons or like Seinfeld with like ridiculous voices.
Oh yeah. Bad lip sync, the bad lip readings. Those are so good.
Yeah, I miss old YouTube.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't checked out bad lip reading, do it. Yeah. It's so funny. It is so funny. But yeah,
I remember the Twilight one I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, smell like fish,
dude. Slapped a fish.
Yeah, slapped him with a fish. And it's essentially people dubbing over what the characters are saying with whatever they want to put. The debates are even the funniest. A bit pitchy, but we'll take it. Remember that at the presidential debates? He goes, they made the candidates sound like they were singing. Speaking of debates, how stoked did you see what Joe Rogan had posted?
No, wait, was it that he wanted to have both presidents on?
He wanted to be the moderator for the presidential debate. And
that would be interesting.
So here's what's so cool about that. Sides aside, doesn't matter. Yeah. The point is, for the first time in history, and this is how historical something like this would be, the first time in history, you'd get to see two potential future leaders of the United States of America actually have a conversation. Because let's be honest, those debates are not conversations.
No, they are 2 to 3 minute sound bites to overly simplify a larger concept or something.
And they hit the buzzer. Time's up. Time's up. That's time's up. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay. Then
that's the thing. I think Bernie Sanders said it. You have to go. You have to be like balls to the wall within 2 minutes and say something so you can get attention. You can't. And people are like, oh, this person's like this. Well, no, not really. You only have 2 minutes to explain your whole platform.
I know, and it's not fair. And then they'll ask you weird questions that can just throw you off. Like, oh, why'd you beat your wife? Type of questions. And it's like, no matter what you say to something like that, you're guilty. You know what I mean? I didn't beat my wife. Now you sound guilty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that happens.
Dude, that would be interesting if that a 3 hour long.
Bro, debate. I would be I'd be watching it. I definitely would be the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me in my life. Personally.
That would be interesting.
I know Trump said it had an enthusiastic I do. Did you watch that podcast with Tim Kennedy?
No.
He's a I don't know if he's a Navy SEAL. He's in the Marines or something, but he had a lot of good things to say about just what was he talking about mostly? Just the military. It was actually a really great podcast. It was a good one. But yeah, no, I don't think I personally don't think that'll happen. But it would be cool.
Interesting.
It would be interesting. Did you hear about what Spotify is going through with him right now?
I know I saw that Joey Diaz.
What did he say?
He was making fun of Joe Rogan. He's like, I got that Spotify money now.
Yeah.
Now you have to apologize.
No, so he's on Spotify.
Yeah.
At the end of this year, he'll be exclusively on Spotify. He's still on YouTube.
Okay. Is there video on Spotify?
Yeah. Okay. Now there is. For the JRE. But there's already a couple things that, see what most people were hoping for. Because YouTube it can be very limiting.
Yeah.
From a content standpoint, because they're a left-leaning company, and there's nothing wrong with that. The only time when somebody leans to a side, it's when they stifle other people's freedom to express themselves.
Yeah.
And that happens sometimes on YouTube. It even happens to me, just like on regular posts. If I'm posting something and they don't like my thumbnail, they'll stifle that. You know what I mean? They'll nullify it essentially. So you have to work around that, and it can be very annoying, and it's a little scary because you're like, well, who can I trust?
Yeah.
So Joe Rogan goes over to Spotify, and I was actually just talking about this on the last podcast, but already a few of his episodes are missing. And
really?
Yeah, like
his older ones before he went on?
Yeah, like a couple Alex Jones ones. And I don't know if it was between him and Spotify to agree, okay, I don't want to upload those because they're controversial.
Exactly.
Jordan Peterson, you familiar with Jordan Peterson? His daughter was on there. She's on like an all meat diet. I don't know if that was something. So it's hard for those instances, in other words, to understand what exactly happened to not allow those podcasts to air. Yeah. But what's happening now is that the faculty of Spotify is proposing a walkout or strike because of transphobic. They call them transphobic statements by Joe Rogan
on the recent Spotify uploaded Joe Rogan ones, or
probably on recent ones or past ones.
If because past ones, that's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. But regardless, Joe Rogan's stance on it is, I think. It's it makes a lot of sense, but even if it didn't, it's at least just his opinion. It's not like you have to silence.
That's the thing. I mean, you have to be respectful of everyone in the world. However, if you're going to have a platform that has unsolicited, opinions, and it has the honesty for other people, that's the beauty of conversations with people around the world, is to get other people's perspectives and opinions and.
It's crazy. They're so gung ho. They're demanding editorial control over his own podcast, the most popular podcast in the world.
Yeah.
And by attribute of it being a free form conversation, who he can obviously invite whoever he wants on. They want to control his guests and the content itself. Imagine that.
That's ridiculous. And you know what?
And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I was just going to say the whole, I guess the culture that we live in today is having a conversation is important. It's important to disagree. Mm-hmm. It's important to, come up with, middle ground. And just because you disagree with someone or you have different points of view does not mean you're attacking that person. Yeah. It does not mean you're attacking their, identity. Mm-hmm. An opinion is not your identity.
Right.
It shouldn't be, at least.
And it doesn't nullify other people doing what they want to do. Like, and let's just put into context here, the transphobic statements were solely on the grounds of athletes competing against each other.
Was it like
it wasn't xenophobic? Sorry, it wasn't transphobic in the sense that it's like, I
think I heard him say it before. How I know he said that he was against transitioned. They're women, but they transitioned from a man. How he had a problem with them competing in combat sports.
Yeah. And that's I think those are the exact statements. Those are the statements. I think they're reasonable. Like you can't have a science experiment going in there, and not a science experiment in the terms of it being, wildly uncalculated as to what's happening. Mm-hmm. But when you send somebody in, whether they're fighting biological males or biological females, there's going to be a level of hormone replacement that's involved, and that can compromise the integrity of the sport.
It's complicated, man.
It's
complicated. Yeah.
And I know as much as some people feel like, well, I want to be a woman and compete. Well, it's like, it's already been proven that it wasn't very constructive to be like that, or to allow those people to compete, because some guy registered as a female and he was a guy, but he registered himself as being a female and competed and won by a landslide. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it was strictly, as a demonstration. I'm not sure of the instance exactly, but you could imagine that occurring a lot more. And again, if you have other women who've been training their whole lives and putting all this effort into competing.
So I think it's important to recognize what we're talking about right now is extremely controversial.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
That's why it is even more, it is the most important to discuss it.
Yeah.
Reasonably, be honest, provide, your scientific data, have different studies, have experts come on, have people who are going through it, have observation. Yeah. I mean, it is important to bring as many people in as possible.
Right.
And in the culture that we live in today, it's very difficult to do that without cancel culture, without people's feelings getting hurt. But I mean, it's not about that. If you want to have a really honest conversation, it can be about anything. You need that level of communication. Yeah,
you do.
Exactly.
As soon as you start silencing people, or manipulating the contents of that conversation, all of a sudden you no longer have a conversation, and you no longer have a basis of which points can be made, because it's all just like controlled conversation.
Exactly. And to bring it back to the classroom, that's why I love science.
Yeah.
I purposely sometimes when I do group work, put people in groups that aren't friends.
Yeah.
I might think that, this person is not friends with this person. Let's put them in a group. And when done right, and when it's done successfully, seeing them come to an agreement and argue constructively using the proper scientific discourse is very rewarding.
Exactly.
It's very rewarding. And that's what I try to do. What
happens is, and the beauty about having a conversation is, if you're really wrong, there's a good chance somebody might tell you, or there's a good chance that there might be a window of opportunity where you can learn more about what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? In the instance, maybe there is a legitimate way, like we were talking about, to get trans people into combat sports, right? I wouldn't know. I don't know much about it. Even Joe Rogan, he's not somebody who even decides those things. Yeah. Which is why I think the strike and everything is even more ridiculous, because he's a guy just like us talking.
That's it.
He's got a big platform, but he's not like, telling, I don't know how transphobic can he really get, right? Like you bashing people for stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. It's like you said, it's so important to be contended. Because if you no longer have opposition, or in other words, you go from centralized, you maintain over centralized command, and then there's not enough people learning from other people because no one's allowed to make mistakes. You know what I mean? That's scary.
Yeah. No, you need to make mistakes. That's growth. Mm-hmm. You're not going to grow if you don't make mistakes.
Yeah, man.
If you're just complacent, you just got to plateau and stay there.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get there one day. I need some haters.
I got you. Your shirt's too black.
We're walking, his shirt's too black.
Your hat's too much of a hat. Yeah. I don't like it. It covers too much of your head.
The table's too beige. I don't know.
Yeah.
I had a few people go, "Is that Obama?" It is.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, dude. I got that from Faces back when Faces was still in Northampton.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, man. So, what were we talking about? Because we wanted to go over something you were just learning about. It was like a theory or something. Like I was reading Graham Hancock. Are you familiar with any Graham Hancock's work? He's the guy who was on Joe Rogan's podcast quite a few times, talking about the period of time prior to the Younger Dryas, when the meteors hit.
Yeah.
And I feel like you would be somebody who would really enjoy this concept, and I've been dying to talk about it because I read a little bit of the book. It's not the most exciting book.
Okay.
But I made it through a good amount of it, and essentially what it touched on is how little we know about human history, because we have for so long denied a lot of what happened in the mega civilizations that existed prior to the modern civilization.
I'm not that familiar with it, but I know it has something to do with, technological setbacks and stuff. Like we don't really know how far technology progressed, and then the civilization is gone. In other words, that information is gone as well.
There was a meteor impact that was so substantial that it left the Earth without sunlight for like 2,000 years or something like that.
Okay.
And this was during a period of time where humans had already existed.
Yeah.
We base this off of not only a lot of geological findings on Earth itself. I don't know the areas. He had so many details on there that I couldn't follow. But when you look at certain structures that are in Egypt, they've found out, and there's concrete evidence of this, that the Sphinx was recovered, not built by the Egyptians.
Okay.
The pyramids were built by the Egyptians, or might have been built by the Egyptians, but it's a fact that at least it's a fact in this instance that there's water erosion and damage on the Sphinx. So at one point or another, the Sphinx was underwater for quite some time, and then it was rebuilt by the Egyptians. So what this tells us, along with all these other little, so to speak, by the word of Graham Hancock, that there was a series of, there was like this underground, it was subterranean cities that were built. And this was during the Younger Dryas. That's how long ago it was. The core samples that they found, that's determined how long ago it was. And people lived down there for a very long time because it was really hard to live on the surface because it was all dark. And for some reason, it's just incredibly fascinating. And it teaches us a lot about ancient Egypt, because it leaves a lot more room for mystery, in that the structures that exist there today, we know that couldn't have been built with the technology the Egyptians had. Yeah. It might have been something that was built even more prior to that. And then the Egyptian civilization blossomed there.
Dude, I love everything you just said. I love it. Well, I know, and how, isn't each brick, has a perfect right angle or something ridiculous like that, or...
You can't fit a playing card in it. Yeah. They didn't have the technology. And so there's all this speculation that you'll hear, and going through the wonderful rabbit holes of YouTube, you'll find that it was aliens or something like this. But essentially what the book concluded is that there were more advanced civilizations than ours prior to our ancient history.
Okay.
So our ancient history is things and events that took place prior, or rather, post Younger Dryas, which was a period of time that was where the Earth was compromised by other astral bodies, things falling from the sky. Essentially, like I think it was a piece of meteor the size of a building or something like that hit the Earth, and that's all it takes.
That's interesting.
That's all it takes, man. And you can literally put the sun out for thousands of years, thinking about something hitting the Earth at that kind of speed. and how much upturned dirt. And we know there's a lot of parts of like North America that were underwater.
Yep.
And Atlantis, and then we're looking at all these structures. Though, how did they build something with this kind of precision? And I would say, well, if you think about it, I correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody comment below if I'm wrong about this, but I think it would only take about 50 to 100 years of human absence for human civilization to almost appear as though it's not even here.
Okay.
You wouldn't
before
even,
nature takes over and like
right, I'm saying, like
exactly.
so imagine 50 years without maintenance.
Yeah.
Human civilization would just be gone. Like you think about skyscrapers and all these things, but these buildings get tons of maintenance.
You need the upkeep every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's only a matter of a few years before a natural disaster comes along.
I've seen zombie movies.
Yeah.
I know. I've seen zombie movies. You know, you go
exactly.
10 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I like to boggle my mind with some of those things.
That's
it's a very toxic behavior humans have to assume they've already figured it all out.
That's the scary part.
They taught us, like, that's one thing I had, social studies, right? Social studies, 6th grade taught me that Egyptians had used slaves to roll the
bring the
bricks.
Up.
Bricks weighed about 22 tons each. The geometry lining up with the stars, I don't know. I question that.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing where we think we're superior based on our intelligence, but then what's the definition of intelligence?
Right.
We can use.
We define that.
Yeah, exactly.
We define that at all times.
You look at dolphins. You look at animals. Just like rabbits.
Yeah.
You look at rabbits. Like they're pretty intelligent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're born with instincts and
From a biological standpoint, very. It's funny how.
Or ants.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
build this mega structure.
What was it? There was a really great podcast I was listening to talking about what is natural. Okay. And so the basis of the conversation was touching on how you would think you'd look at this room, maybe this camera or the computer, and well, this is incredibly unnatural because you certainly would be put off if you found this in the middle of the woods, right?
Yeah.
Though we're not separate from nature by any means. We're different. A beehive doesn't necessarily grow out of a tree, but it is built onto a tree, created by a species of organisms that produces it. In the same way, maybe a computer or an airplane in the sky. So I think there's a lot of skewing going on when it comes to determining what is natural and what is not. We might not consider things that we make that are natural, but we are a product of this planet.
True.
Inevitably.
Yeah.
So it is completely organic what is happening.
Dude, so to tie in what you were saying earlier about technology and talking about like the future of AI or something like that, when there is AI, are we going to be the most intelligent being on this planet?
Not anymore. I don't think so. Yeah. AI is a scary thing, and it's already operating at a significant pace, and in a way you wouldn't really realize. And this is back to social dilemma. Everything you do on the internet is
it's tracked.
It's tracked, and it's not tracked.
The learning software.
It's tracked, but I think what it's more specifically doing is recording it all and using it to tailor a profile to person 7577679.
That makes sense. You want a dog, you start searching for dog area, and then the next week or so you're gonna see ads for Petco dog food. You're gonna it's all designed.
Yeah, and it's tailored. So what happens is, and this is a cool thing that they mentioned in that documentary, is that we, the consumer, are the product. So what these social media platforms are doing is they're selling certainty. They're selling. So say there's 1 billion people using Facebook. I think there's closer to 2 billion. You can now have a platform in which the customer in the platform is not us. It's an advertising company.
Yeah.
Because the certainty that they sell them is we know what these people want. Individually, in fact. You're searching for a home.
Yeah.
I'm searching maybe for a new boom mic or something. They're going to know that because I looked for it. And I don't think it's terribly what's the word? Malevolent, but I do think it can be a little bit what's the word? Invasive.
invasive is correct. I was gonna say scary because that's
well, it can be scary,
but invasive is correct, especially knowing how much tech that we have on our bodies. I mean, you have a smartwatch, phone. We have our phone that's constantly on us 24/7. Just think within the next 10 years, you have wearable devices when you're working out now. You have, now we're, online with a camera in our face when we're working from home. So just imagine 15 years from now. Right now our phone is an extension of our body. But I mean, it's still, you have to pull it out and stuff. 15 years, 20 years from now, is that extension going to be
Neuralink.
More like instantaneous? Where you can, instead of saying like, hey Siri or something, you can just think it.
Yeah. Talk to people. I'm going to call somebody and you just start talking.
Contacts or something. Yeah. So, and then from there, I saw a really good YouTube video. I wish I had the link. I'll shout out right now. But it was a concept that they're wearing virtual glasses or like virtual contacts or something. Yeah. And they turn it on and then everything in their world was interactive. Like they look at a building and the building has like ads running through it. Yeah. But there was ads everywhere. They sat down on the bus and it's like, Pop, would you like to play this game? Would you like to play this game? Dude, that's scary to think about. Yeah. And given our history, I can definitely see if we have anything like that, it's just going to be ads. But you know what? We're very numb to it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
We're very numb to it.
Well, because what would happen, especially in that situation, is then you'd have people who have augmented reality. You don't want the glasses. When you put the glasses on, everything's a little brighter. It even boosts your mood because it can stimulate your mind because of how it interacts with your brain. Yeah. We're talking biological technology. Yeah. And I could only imagine, wow. Because obviously they're going to make it so user-friendly that who doesn't have a cell phone?
That's the thing. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It'd be the new cell phone.
Yo, you don't have a cell phone? That's weird. That stigma exists now. Someone's like, oh yeah, I have a flip phone. It's like, you have a flip phone?
We don't even know how many times we check our phone.
Like it's something ridiculous.
You can check.
Yeah, it's something ridiculous.
Your phone actually even records it. You can. No, I mean, I don't turn it on, but I think key is don't turn on your notifications and don't use recommended. Don't click on whatever's recommended to you if you don't want them tracking you. Because there's a lot of ways to mitigate how much they know about you, but a lot of it is one, out of convenience, but two, it's invasive. It can be invasive. Yeah. I say, because I'm always an optimist, I say, well, I'd rather watch a commercial of something that I'm interested in, but I have the willpower to not buy something, to decide not to buy something I don't need. Yeah. If you're not a very financially savvy person or you don't have the willpower to go, I don't need that, then you're going to be shit out of luck because you're going to be broke. Yeah. Because like you said, you could order something today and it gets here yesterday.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Oh, dude, that's what, so I just had the engagement party and looking for to keep everything COVID safe. We didn't want just ketchup bottles just out, so people are touching the same thing. It's really okay. Let's get some ketchup and mustard packets. Yeah. I ordered it maybe 10 o'clock. Yeah. At night, and then it was there the next day. Wow. It's there quick. You get everything right there.
I know. I like to think there is a utopian feature that might exist in that things are very convenient, right? And they're only going to get more convenient. Well,
that's the thing. I mean, we're in our infancy of technology and using this. I mean, we're in our late 20s right now, and I mean, look how being a kid, you had to blow into the console, slam it down, turn on the Nintendo, and then you played with a long cord, and you got mad at your brother or sister because they stepped on it, and they made the whole screen turn black.
Multiplayer was between 2 to 4 people.
Exactly. You always wanted the good controller.
Yeah, exactly.
And look how far it's came. It's ridiculous. So imagine.
Do you play any video games like Xbox or anything like that?
No.
I will say it's incredible how they have like Battle Royale, and for those of you who don't play any video games, Battle Royale is essentially online gaming option. Yeah. Or not option, but mode. We'll say it's a mode for most video games these days, especially for shooters, where you're playing on a very large map with over 150 other people.
Isn't that crazy?
Nuts.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Cross-platform. What that means is you can use a computer or an Xbox or a PlayStation. These are all different gaming consoles, if you're not familiar. And it's just mind-blowing how far it's come, like you said. Because I was there. I had a Game Boy Color. was the shit.
This is how detached I am from all that. I did not know you can do it on
multi-platform.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
It's crazy now. And I don't know how much longer PlayStation will be around because Xbox or Microsoft just bought out
like that.
an entire section of exclusive games that PlayStation used to have.
Okay.
And now they'll be exclusively Xbox games.
Okay.
I think. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're listening, but
yeah,
comment below. But yeah, no, it's insane how interactive. I mean, there's always good and bad. I hope the integrity of life can still maintain somehow.
Dude, it's ridiculous. Even with technology, even just with our bodies. Are you familiar with like CRISPR?
Dude, I was just talking about that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
You're the one who introduced me to it because I listened to the podcast where they were talking about it.
Yeah, so I wish I want to learn more about it, but just the fact that you can have an issue or a defect in your DNA, and you can essentially cut it out with a protein and replace it with what is supposed to be there, and then you're fixed.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but this takes place in the conception of a human when it's being born, right? It's not happening to somebody who's already alive and functioning.
Well, so I know you can.
Yeah.
I know you can, but I think they have done it like in lungs and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can do it in someone who's alive now.
Oh, wow.
And again, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But if I think
you have to go to Mexico.
I think
you know
the
how
conversation.
They do that with, like, what the hell is that called? Keep going. Sorry.
No, I think the issue with this technology comes when you do in vitro, and you're changing things that are permanent: eye color, hair color. And you're and let's say 50 years from now, like you were saying before with that stigma, like, oh, you don't have a phone. I think 50 years from now, when someone's gonna be like, oh, you didn't use CRISPR or gene editing to get these diseases out.
You don't have enough money for that.
How or people are gonna look at you at your ethical.
It could cause a divide. In that sense, I hate to go to a dark place, but you would imagine. I'm sure there's a price attached to something like that. But you're exactly it. You can create perfect genetics.
It's scary, man.
Yeah, and now you got CRISPR babies.
Yeah,
they're 6'5", 350 pounds lean muscle.
no, but you're serious. You want to be a sprinter, and then it's like, hey, you want these fast twitch muscle fibers instead of the slow twitch muscle fibers. But I think if the technology does take off, and it will probably, I think that moral prowess of, oh, you didn't genetically, take care of this, genetic disease, or, I can see it going to a place where doctors predict, okay, you have a 60% chance of having this, bone defect or something like that. And it's like, would you want to edit this out of your baby? I mean, most parents are going to feel an obligation to protect their child and stuff like that. So I think once it becomes,
I don't want my baby to get sick.
No, exactly.
It does,
and then on top of that, you have other people looking at you like, oh, you didn't protect your baby? Like, what kind of a parent are you?
That's fucked up.
But once it becomes to a place of normalcy where people are doing this for health reasons and health concerns, the next step is going to be the augmentations for vanity, performance.
Yeah,
that's the scary part.
Yeah, I don't know, absolutely. Yeah. But it's funny because it'll create a positive feedback loop in that these people then will be able to breed more frequently. They'll be the only people who do breed, and the system won't even really need itself if it's functioning purely on a biological basis. I would assume if they can pass on the altered genetics, that is. Yeah. If the altered genetics are only something that they're given in the beginning, but I'm assuming if they're altering their DNA, then their DNA can keep sharing.
Yeah, you get 50% from mom, 50% from dad.
Imagine that.
The percentages and the chance of getting one of those the genes that's still there.
I want superpowers. Well, that's just it. It's funny because people go, oh, they're hoping that there's a ordinary or traditional sense of curing cancer. Yeah. And I don't know if it's ever going to be something like that. Like, here, just take the pills, or here's an operation. I think it's going to have to be something that's so much more invasive. It happens on a molecular level, like changing somebody's DNA. Because that's the only way you can really get rid of effectively. I had a really good conversation with a radiologist. One of my clients is a radiologist. He said, you have your, what the hell is it called? There's an interchangeable scaffolding on your DNA.
Okay.
And that's your, God, why can't I think about it?
This is, I wish I knew.
Yeah, no, I want to think about it now because there's you have DNA that changes in this lifetime and can be passed on to your children, right? Like, so if you're a very stressed person, those attributes can pass to your child. If you're overweight, those attributes can pass to your child immediately. And that's because of this lifetime. It could be you're the only one in your family who's overweight or very obese. You know what I mean? Or you're very fit. Your cardiovascular health in this lifetime passes on to your children. DNA.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Structures. Oh, it's going to kill me. I was thinking about stem cell research, how you have to go to Mexico to get it. Did you hear about stem cell research?
Oh, I have. Yeah.
It's incredibly effective.
Isn't it the stem cells from umbilical cords? Aren't they the most effective when it comes to this?
I think it's from fat.
Is it?
Human fat.
From your own.
From your own. You can use it from other people's fat. You can harvest it from people.
Yeah. Okay.
If they want to give it to
you.
And
it's illegal here? In the United
States?
It's
not FDA approved.
Got it. Okay.
Anything that I think yields results. No, I'm just kidding. I'm very. I have asthma.
Okay.
So it's extremely difficult. I can't find it, man.
No, it's all good. It's all right. I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
kidding. I have asthma, so like if you want to get like medication for it, it's extremely expensive.
Okay.
There was something that just was recently signed by the president where you can find it cheaper. The hospital has to give it to you at that price.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so it's kind of levels the playing field when it comes to like some medication's wildly expensive in this country and it's not in other countries. Like you can get the same albuterol inhaler in Canada for like $16. Here it costs $350. So
wow,
that's a big difference.
Well, I know there was an issue with was it EpiPens, right? Yeah, that was another one they tried to monopolize and
big time. It's scary because as much of a fan of capitalism that I am, it's important I think that it doesn't get into certain industries, and the health industry has been compromised for sure.
Yeah,
and that's what we're really dealing with, some of the bigger issues in this country at least. I wouldn't even know the first thing about how to fix them because I don't really even use my own doctor. I don't even know much about it.
Dude, that's the thing with any issue.
Yeah.
There's no simple fix.
It's tough.
There's no simple fix. And that's just to bring it back to before. That's why you need to have conversations.
You have to have conversations.
You gotta. Nothing is ever that simple. There's always multiple parts. You need multiple people. You need different experts to come up with the right solutions. Yeah.
I know. And if these conversations can't happen, then how are we going to fix them?
Can't.
You can't fix them.
You can't.
Telling people to shut up isn't the answer. That's for sure.
Cancel them.
And then like sharing polarizing articles.
Yeah.
You're smart not to have YouTube or Facebook. Sorry.
Oh, I got rid of Facebook.
It's almost worthless. It's almost worthless now.
Yeah.
It really is. I don't understand the point. I love that quote by Duncan Trussell. He said, "It's out there. There's someone lost by a waterfall there's some poor lost soul by a waterfall without a phone who has no idea how angry and scared he should be." You know what I mean?
Dude, I got rid of Facebook. It was like opening up the fridge 5 times on a Friday night when you have nothing to do, just seeing what's in there, and you're like, "Oh, I got no food." And then you shut the fridge, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm still hungry."
Isn't that funny?
There might be something in there.
The fridge
and then you look,
is the new.
And you're
the phone's the new fridge.
Oh yeah,
I would do that all the time when I was bored. Just look at the fridge.
Is there anything here to eat? No, nothing here to eat except angry people yelling at me about who I should vote for.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what it is. You suck, and it's like it's perpetual. And it's funny because you can, if you really step back and look at it all, you can see exactly how the media is pinning people against each other because it's certainly on purpose. Like the media makes people just argue so that way nothing really gets done.
Yeah.
And they're arguing about. It's funny how many people you can tell share the same views, but are
depending
arguing,
on which station they're listening to.
Well, no, not only that, but obviously, you know what opinions and where people fall politically based off of what they're watching, but how often their views probably line up, but they're fighting over minor details of the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of the current movements today are based on the same thing.
Yeah.
Like we'll be a little controversial. Like Black Lives Matter, they're structured around abolishing police brutality. But then somebody goes about and starts stimulating this defund the police thing, right?
Yeah.
And then the other side's like, no, don't defund the police. That's you know what I mean? That's bad, whatever. But both of them obviously don't support police brutality, right? That's obvious.
Yeah.
Nobody supports police brutality. Both of them could agree on having a better police force, right?
Yeah.
And that's really all there is to it. And all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, what were we yelling about?
Dude, it's
let's work towards that.
Things are more complicated than they seem. It's just we live in a society where clickbait, where headlines are more important, and then people defend. So to bring it back, like defund the police. I've talked to someone who thought it would be a great idea to take funding and put it towards mental health funding.
Right.
That way, if the police get a call about someone is Joe is running down the street again, and he's like hitting cars. That person needs, proper medical attention. Probably someone in the mental health field.
Social workers.
Exactly. And they want more funding to go there. Yep. I've heard that argument. I was like, oh, I agree. I also have a friend who works, with the police. And he's like, man, my hours got cut.
Yeah.
My pay got cut. And it's the same reason. So it's like, I understand both sides.
Yeah.
So things are more complicated than they seem, and you need to have these conversations. These clickbait titles, it's sad that that's the basis of argument, and then that's it. Yeah. People don't defend it, and then when you instead of defending it, they cancel you out or they call you
racist.
Exactly.
Anything. Yeah. I think there needs to be more recognition in that. Even defund the police, a standalone statement is very on purposely controversial.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to mean reform the police, right? But instead it's defund, shock value, boom, what? We don't want, nobody wants that, really. Especially if you go into communities with more criminal issues. Nobody really wants there to be no police.
Yeah.
But what we do want is a better vetting process and people to be a little bit more accountable for their actions. And the only way to do that is to have a better vetting process. Better vetting process costs more money, unfortunately. And then more training also costs more money. Yeah. So it's like, what do you do? What do you do, man?
It's complicated.
I like the one. You're familiar with Jocko Willink?
No.
So he's a retired U.S. Navy SEAL, and he was saying how important it would be if police officers were at least trained to be a purple belt in jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Because imagine how quickly a situation could be de-escalated if a cop was extremely well-versed in something like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Submitting somebody.
Yeah.
Boom. No problem. No chance of the person doing anything that might cause firearms to be drawn.
Yeah, and someone getting hurt, their life's taken.
Somebody really get hurt, because I can't even imagine. I would never want to be a cop, and shout out to everybody who is a cop and is doing their job.
That's a lot of responsibility to make a decision like that. Hats off.
And you got to, because you got tunnel vision, I'm sure. Imagine you get hit in the face.
Dude, it comes down to it's a life or death situation.
Yeah.
And you have to think quickly on your feet.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate if, anything is to happen where a life is taken or someone gets hurt. But that's a situation where I'm not in. And, so I can't make a judgment on it because I wasn't in that situation. And it's sad to see certain situations described in a clickbait.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. To get blown up or to be made purposely made controversial.
Yeah.
And that's the saddest thing. And that's, I think, where we go back when I was talking about how humans just didn't develop quick enough or haven't or will never develop as fast as technology. Yeah. And so we actually don't have the social capability really yet. Our generation's getting a little better at it. Your kids will be really good at it.
Yeah.
And understanding how to pick their battles and what online will get them angry. Like, how, I don't know if you have parents or people who are your friends' parents who ever get online. Notice the boomers, like that generation of people is very vocal online.
Yeah.
Where our generation, we see something, we might not agree with it, but there's a good chance that a lot of us won't say
it takes
anything.
learning. Like I said, when we're in our infancy of technology, and it's going to take it's going to take multiple generations to learn. Again, how to use it.
It's like the metaphorical forbidden fruit, forbidden knowledge. Understanding, so knowing everybody else's opinion is very much a burden. It is very heavy to deal with that.
Yeah. Well, it's an information overload.
Way so. Yeah. I totally agree. Because now you're like, oh, dang, that's how he thinks. And it's typically not things you would talk about with a friend. You wouldn't share your deep religious views or political views. I mean, you could. Yeah. But imagine how that amplifies in animosity when you're witnessing somebody else express those views. Yeah. And then you're like, you know what? That's wrong. And then, and that's no way to have a conversation. Back to the conversation. No. If you're just arguing online, you have as much time as you'd like to construct some really long paragraph. Exactly. To put somebody down, and then now everybody's ego's on the line. And I keep talking about stuff like that, but it's crazy.
No, you hit it, man. My kids, they're going to hopefully be better than us. Yeah. And their kids hopefully better than them. It's a learning experience, man.
They will, because they're just growing up into it. And I think there's a lot of good that comes out of being conditioned to understand what that is. There's a lot of parenting, I'm sure or you may have gone through, or we've all gone through, or I've witnessed people go through, and it's like that sheltered mentality. And it's good to, you're a teacher, so you're probably going to be awesome about explaining things realistically to your kids, know? And I think that's not a luxury many kids have. Some people will try to just shelter them, and not give them
I know, like in my classroom, I make it a point on day one. I do not know anything. Yeah. I'm going to teach you things, and I think that I know them well enough to explain them. However, if I don't know something, I am going to be honest with you, and we can look things up together. It's a co-educational environment, and explaining something like that is very important. And even when you're an adult, everything's co-educational. You need to keep, you need to learn from other people. Dude,
that's so true.
Yeah.
I feel the exact same way. I think too often people are embarrassed to admit they don't know something.
Oh yeah, and like your ego steps in. Yeah. Oh yeah. Start lying to or being something that you're not, or it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Learning, being a student of life.
It's important. Yeah, it doesn't stop in 12th grade. It doesn't stop in college.
I know. Well, that's just it. I noticed that too. Between people who have been to college sometimes and those who haven't. And you can get the impression that you're done learning sometimes after college. I see that in people. Get that. You know what I mean? I can get figured it all out at that point.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know if that's the most constructive behavior to have, because you're never going to know everything, and you're going to forget a lot of the things you learned.
Exactly.
So you need to know the things that apply to you now.
Yeah. No, you plateau, and like you said, you can fall back down.
Yeah. You can learn. Less.
Exactly.
Especially depending on how much you listen to it. Listen to something. And when I mean it, I mean we, and this is back to like a lot of those things on social media. We don't go for the long form anymore. The book. Who reads the book?
It's the 15-second video.
The 15-second video. And even though I may be an advocate of some of that stuff, it certainly isn't enough. It isn't long enough ever in that 1 minute, 15 seconds or whatever to learn it, as it would be in reading an entire book, watching an entire documentary. You know what I mean?
Dude, even to take that and to simplify it even more, my kids are not allowed to watch SpongeBob.
Why?
However,
really,
we let them watch seasons 1 through 3.
Oh, okay.
If you notice,
it 1 through 5?
What do you mean?
Till when it got like terrible?
I don't know when it got terrible. I know it did get bad.
Yeah, it was just dumb. I don't know. They just made him. And nothing against people who are gay, but it's like they made him homosexual.
Well, what's the term? It's flanderization, I think the term is. I don't know if it's an official term, but
I have lots of gay friends. I nothing against him, but when he turned a character into something he wasn't
it's
before,
when you take a character and you hone in on their attribute or characteristics that defines that character, and they become solely that characteristic. For example, The Office. I love The Office. Yeah. And you look at Kevin Malone from The Office, and he's a character, and he's a little slow, a little,
he's always
dull-witted.
Kevin,
he's always Kevin. But you look at season 1, he's a regular guy. You look at the last season, and this dude's wearing shoe boxes for shoes.
He's developed.
Or you look at Homer Simpson, and he was, this, complicated, quote unquote, complicated guy. And then, at the later seasons, he just is a dumb guy who likes donuts.
Yeah.
But SpongeBob's the same thing. You have these slower storylines in season 1, season 2.
Yeah.
Now it's all slapstick. It's very fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the animation.
The animation,
yeah,
different.
Exactly. But no, there was a huge shift in his character where before he was your ordinary cartoon.
Yeah.
And then he became like, I didn't recognize him as a kid once he changed. I was
SpongeBob,
what happened to
SpongeBob became this one-dimensional.
Yeah,
that's it. But it's sad to see shows like that they become just what they're known for. And you always have to raise the bar, so they just become more ridiculous. And that's why with certain shows they go on for seasons longer than they need to. It's just it's a sad thing.
They just keep going and going and going.
But to bring it back, that's why Mr. Rogers, that show is awesome. It's slow paced. You have
Bob
to pay,
Ross, dude.
Yeah, you have to pay attention. I appreciate those because, like you were saying before, it's sad today that you have so many outlets out there where it's just the flashy.
Mm-hmm.
We're not holding your attention 15 seconds. There's no long form conversation.
Yeah. Avatar is such a good cartoon.
I just finished that season with my kids.
Dude, the whole thing?
The whole thing.
It's awesome, right?
They love it.
It's such a good show.
They were just outside the other day, just bending.
Yeah, dude. That's awesome. Dude, no, I swear to God, man, if more people watch that show, they'd just be better
it's
people.
It's a good show, man.
There's so much to learn about that. Like, there's so many moral
There's a lot of
lessons.
life stories and a lot of life lessons and morals in that story. Dude, I love it.
And it's just a good cartoon. It's got a lot of pop to it, like when something big happens and it goes into the Avatar state. Legends of Korra is really good too.
So we started that.
Okay.
We have 2 more episodes and then we're done with season 1.
Don't ruin it for me because I'm on season 3
I'm only on season 1.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, 2 more episodes and then I'm done with season 1.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Dude, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
It's not, I mean, you could nitpick at it.
Yeah. But so my kids, I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. Mm-hmm. 7 and 4, and they love it. Yeah. They absolutely love it. It appeals to the little kids. But like you said, I'm 20 years old. I'm still enjoying it. There's a lot of I love the show.
I know. Dude, it is funny, man, how long you can watch cartoons for. I still like a good cartoon every now and then. I was told Naruto was really good. Naruto, sorry.
Oh, Naruto. A lot of my students
really
talk about that. And,
I heard it's like a very... there's a lot of intricacy to it. And where things in like episode 300 apply to episode 1.
Okay.
Like really that much interconnectedness.
Well, you know what's crazy? So you look at sitcoms, right? And I feel like sitcoms are a dying art.
Yeah.
You don't see too many of them now. And
the laugh track is hard to get over.
Dude, I can't.
Nobody likes the laugh track. I don't like the laugh track.
My fiance loves Friends.
Yeah.
And I love The Office. Mm-hmm. I did finish all the seasons of Friends. It's a great show. I like it.
Okay.
But
I've heard so many good things.
I didn't want to watch it at first because of the laugh track.
Yeah. That puts me off. That's how I couldn't get into it either.
Yeah. It ends up being a good show.
You ever watch it? I saw somebody post a video on Facebook without the laugh track.
I know exactly you're talking about.
What the heck is going on?
The sandwich.
Hey, it's you. And it's like quiet.
They did that with Big Bang Theory too.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can imagine.
Off. It was gut-wrenchingly awkward.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I could only imagine because their comedy was based around like snarkiness.
Exactly. Why are you wearing that shirt? And then it's like laughing. Yeah. It's like
a pause. There's like a on purpose pause. Dude. It's not natural. It's really not natural.
But that's the thing I think with cartoons now. It's like you can make them more intricate and realistic. And, you can disassociate them with reality. I don't know. I just feel like with sitcoms now, it's very forced.
Yeah. It kind of is.
Yeah.
What kind of shows have they got these days? I haven't actually watched a show in a while. They were talking about doing a live action Avatar, and then I think they dropped on it.
No, did they?
Yeah, they gave up. I can't believe it. Yeah, they had. Last time I read about it, there was in the production team there was people disagreeing with each other or something.
That's a shame.
I know. I was really looking.
Yeah, I don't watch too much TV now. Dude, it's HGTV and the Food Network.
Yeah.
I'm morphing into that, stereotypical dad. Yeah.
I still got Netflix. I watch Hulu sometimes, but I still don't have TV. I always tell people, I don't know.
You got the internet, man.
Internet is fine, and it's at least a little bit more selective on what I want to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man. Dude, hour 38.
Wow.
We got a fight tonight.
Time flies.
You stoked for the fight?
I'm excited for the fight. I'm getting some chicken wings.
Ooh.
in a second.
Oh, that's right. We are getting some chicken wings.
Yeah,
I got a veggie platter for us. So.
Oh, look at you being healthy.
Oh yeah. Well, I you know what, with wings, it's always missing with wings is like some I like having celery or carrots.
Yeah, have that blue cheese with it.
I don't know why I feel like it digests a little easy. Like if I just have a mess of wings.
Is that true? I feel like you would know more than anyone.
Yeah.
Isn't there something like a negative calorie in? Doesn't it take your body more energy to digest
I
celery?
guess that's what they say about celery.
Okay. I have no idea. I just heard it.
It's not a caloric thing. Okay. It's fiber. Your gut flora needs fiber to be active. And that's what... So
that's why you can subtract, if something has like 4 grams of fiber and you have 40 grams of sugar, you can subtract the 4 grams from the sugar. Is that true?
I don't know about that. I can't.
It's probably wrong.
I don't want to confirm. It could be right.
It's probably wrong.
No,
I don't know.
I have never looked that deep into it. Yeah. I've really been enthralled in like how to keep your gut flora healthy. Okay. And obviously, sugar right away. You're good. Stop eating sugar. You're going to be really 10 times better, more energetic. Your life will improve almost overnight. It only takes a couple weeks if you just keep your sugar content low. Yeah. Alcohol might be a sugar as well, depending on what you're drinking. Mm-hmm. But when you take in things like fiber, you're really not feeding yourself. You're feeding your bacterial biome that exists inside of you, because you actually don't digest fiber. And then
those, dude, that's scary. We can talk about this later, but that gut biome, because then it's like, are you hungry? Yeah. Are you craving that, or is your gut biome?
Exactly, and that's why sugar. That's what makes you crave those things. Is your flora will convince you. Like there's a lot of things that your body will end up convincing you that you want, the way you feel. And I can't say that it's a different part of you. It is the same thing as you. Yeah. It is what you are. Yeah. It's funny because I was diving into like some basic philosophy, and how like Eastern people would think and how Western people will think, and it's not really built into our language to give tribute to certain functions of our body. Like we'll say, my heart beats. Yeah. And that's obviously saying it as though it is something that happens independent of you. Yeah. Okay. But that is you beating your heart.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right. All the functions that are occurring in your body are simultaneously and collectively occurring at all times. Yeah. And that is you. That's why your nature, from a physical standpoint, is always going to be far more intelligent than your consciousness, because there is an array of things that are happening simultaneously, and you're not controlling them. You don't control really when you blink. You can control it when you blink, right? You can do that. You can control when you breathe, but you don't have to think about it at all. You certainly don't have to contribute to focusing on pumping blood throughout every single organ in your body and having you're not controlling. You're not thinking that you're controlling it, but it's all happening, right? The nature of you is making that occur, and it's a very profound understanding to undergo.
Mm-hmm. Is that mindful thinking or a whole body? Isn't there like I forget,
like a book or something?
Yeah, it's a way of thinking, mindful thinking. You know, having complete mindfulness of everything that is happening to your whole body, whole mind, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's just. I think it's important to understand. Yeah. You can dive deeper into it as far as just being a little bit more aware of what you are. Mm-hmm. Because typically you might refer to yourself as something, in the middle of your brain between your eyes, Yeah.
Dude, that's so weird. I know we can probably have another hour conversation about perspective and who you are, and you're the only one that sees out of your eyeballs.
I love philosophy. Check it out, guys. You can go, there's many awesome philosophical wormholes or rabbit holes you can go through and down on YouTube. Jordan Peterson's a great source of a lot of awesome. He's more of a psychologist, MD. Mm-hmm. And he's I'm probably wrong about that. Who knows? But he's great. 12 Rules of Life is a great book.
That's good.
If you haven't listened to it on Audible or read it, I highly recommend it.
12 Rules of Life?
12 Rules of Life. I'll text it to you too. Do you use Audible at all?
Yes and no. Not Audible, but yes, audiobooks.
Okay, audiobooks.
Yeah, not their platform, but yeah.
Either way, dude. It's a great book, and it's read by him too, which is always nice.
Cool. I love that when that happens.
The author reads the book. It's a good luxury to have.
Nice.
But all right, Sean Heyman, thanks for coming on. Do you have anything you want to shout out? Like, you want me to plug your Instagram or something like that? I don't know.
My Instagram's private, man.
Okay, and there you go, guys.
Just be safe out there.
Yeah,
guys.
Be safe.
Be safe out there. Wash your hands.
Stay scientific. Wash your hands right now. Who knows, right? In the future, hopefully things look up. I think it's always important to wash your hands.
Oh yeah.
Sign off a little Bob Ross.
And that may be the true joy of painting is when you share it with other people.
Peace.